which brings me to my gal, Lola Bunny. On the surface, you'd be like, it's a cartoon bunny. Who fucking cares? But it sent the internet into a goddamn frenzy, okay? So they're rebooting the 96 classic animated kids film with the Looney Tunes and Michael Jordan. It's a basketball story, okay? Lola Bunny was like the over-sexualized character who had like boobs and the big hair, the short shorts, the eyelashes, the whole thing, the whole shebang. And here's what the director said about changing her, because now she's flat chested, doesn't have the big eyelashes, has more of like a boy-ish body and uniform thing going on, okay? And here's what the director said about it. This is 2021. It's important to reflect the authenticity. I can't even read my own damn handwriting, okay? The authenticity of strong, capable female characters. And also saying taking away her sexuality is, quote, giving her a real voice. Here's my take on this whole thing, okay? As soon as this news came out, I had people, men, women, black, white, young, old, text me being like, why? Leave her alone. What now cartoons aren't even safe? I'm not gonna argue against it just for the sake of being like, oh, cancel culture at it again. Like, this is something I feel particularly strong about because I've written about it. I've dedicated a lot of work to the fact that I feel strongest when I feel sexy, period. Why right now do I have my little dangly necklaces? Do I have my cleavage? Do I have my lip liner? I'm not coming to talk to you in a plastic hefty bag, but I'm just making that point because a lot of these articles that were critical of the original Lola being over sexualized as this like male fantasy brought up her opening scene. And let me tell you, bitch, I watched the opening scene and then I watched it again and then I watched it again. Why? Because it is the epitome of female strength. I'm talking about the original 96 movie, okay? Let me lay it out. She walks into the gymnasium and there's like sure, she's objectified, right? There's a saxophone playing and all the guys, all the players like stop and stare at her. Big fucking whoop. Ooh, attention. Oh God, no, we can't have that. God forbid. Oh, geez, no. Okay, somebody call somebody. Number one, she looks super hot, as aforementioned. Number two, she schools the fuck out of Bugs Bunny. She straight up dunks on his ass and schools him, okay? Then, because Bugs Bunny calls her doll, and she's like, don't, after she dunks on his head, basically, right? She's like, don't ever call me doll again.
Don't ever call me doll.
Gets up, walks away, and literally leaves them in her bunny dust. That's not strong enough. That's my issue, is how the director literally says, we're swapping sexy for strong. And in my view, I'm like, I don't know. I feel like it doesn't get much stronger than that. And sidebar, there is a part of it, TBH, and I've talked about this before, right? That has to do with like what we epitomize as like male and female fantasy of sexuality, right? That goes back to evolution. I know you guys like the sex talk, so let's get it on a little sidebar, all right? Get your pencils, get your banana and your condoms to do sex ed. There are traits for both sexes that is kind of like the ideal, the epitome. For men, it's like big, the protector, the muscles, you get it, right? And we even see Bugs Bunny when he meets Lola kind of play up to that. He's like, and if you're listening and not watching, he like sucks in his chest and tries to make his chest all big and bulky, right? To like prove he's a man. Women, same thing. All the signs of fertility, right? The curves, the big eyes, the big lips. Okay. On some level, I feel like we have to acknowledge that Hollywood is going to play up to these ideals, right? And it made me really wonder, are we depending on Hollywood too much to impact our lives? Like, are we giving it a little more credit than it deserves? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, why can't we take for a grain of salt that Hollywood is going to use these sex standards for both sexes, right? It's fantasy. It's not always real life. It's what sells, right? Sex sells. Think about it. Think about the male sex objects in movies. Really think about a non ideal masculine who is objectified as a sex object in a show or a movie, right? Because we have like that classic masculinity, the Brad Pitts, the Denzels, the George Clooney's, right? That the Henry Cavill, is that how you pronounce it? That grade A masculinity. I'm saying they do it to both. So are we giving Hollywood a little too much emphasis on how much it impacts us and how we should feel about our lives? Like take Pepe Le Pew getting canceled. This is a sidebar, right? Because they're saying that this skunk perpetuates rape culture. I had a guy friend say to me, I can, even as a kid, I think I could distinguish, like, I don't think a cartoon skunk impacted my life that much and like made me want to harass and sexually assault girls. You know, I had someone else say to me, "Oh, okay, I see. It's a cartoon skunk. It's not like upbringing or you know, bad parenting or mental issues that would make men hurt and assault and rape women. It's a cartoon skunk." That is my point. Are we giving Hollywood too much credit? Can we take a step back and go, it's a little bit of fantasy, it's a little bit of this, a little bit of objectification, a little bit of ideals, right? It's not necessarily our day-to-day lives. It's a different world there. Which brings me back to Lola Bunny. I personally think taking away her curves and her sexuality just plays up to the stereotype that sexy girls are bimbos. They're not strong. They're not smart. I don't like that you have to trade one in to somehow get the other. I think it perpetuates that stereotype because let me tell you, hot girls will fucking school your ass in sex ed and on the basketball court. Okay. But I also had women, and I said this in my last episode, who were kind of like, you know what? I don't know why the anti-cancel culture new mob, if you will, I guess it's like a new emerging mob, the anti-mob is so uptight about this because we should be seeing women, because the reality is we don't all look like that, right? We don't all look like this perfect bunny. Okay. So why can't we see women who are a little like more boxy or who are lanky or who have boyish bodies or have, you know, no boobs, big butt, whatever it is? Why can't we see them on screen as the objectified sex object? Because the reality is that's how we come in real life, right? To that I say, touche. Despite the fact, I will say that goes into my last point, seeing women of all sizes, et cetera, on screen goes back to, again, are we giving Hollywood a little too much credit in how it reflects and impacts our lives? We have this culture war going, erasing her body is ridiculous. Then you have the other side going, you guys thinking it's ridiculous is ridiculous. Let them change it. And round we go. And the fact of the matter is, people, both things can be true. I don't think that they needed to change her body to make a point. But on the other side of that, I can also acknowledge that, sure, let's see women of all shapes and sizes. Everyone finds different things sexy, but why you got to change her? Create a new character, create Brenda Bunny. You know what I'm saying? Both things can be true.